the Lakers, I remember when they won real championships, not bubble championships, but that was the marquee playing game. I don't know if you saw any of this or not. I watched for you, so you didn't have to watch. I assume you might have checked it out. Steph Curry had a game-high 37 points, but his Warriors crumbled in the final minutes of this game down the stretch, and the Lakers squeezed out a 103-100 victory over Golden State by the hair on their chinny chin chin. LeBron James with a misleading stat line. He had 25 points and 12 rebounds, but if you had a chance to check the game out, you know what I'm talking about. This was a narrow escape in the much maligned play-in game. So let us discuss. All right, the question, what are you going to remember from this particular Laker-Warrior play-in game? And did the Lakers win it or did the Warriors lose it? That's also a question we will address. Now, my thoughts on this, you've got AWOL, dunce cap, and nail biting. And we will combine all of these things together. And we're going to make some baba ganoush is what we're going to make. Now, let's just start out with this. And I watched from start to finish here. I was not impressed with the Lakers. They were on the ropes for a good chunk of this game, for the bulk of the game. And if you are a sycophant of that team, if you live in purple and gold land, you should be very concerned. The Lakers are who we thought they were. I'm going to go full Dennis Green. May he rest in peace. Because if you want to crown them, then crown their asses. But they are who we thought they were, and the Warriors let them off the hook. All right? Don't be a casual fanboy. If you watch the game, even if you're one of our blind listeners and you heard the game on a radio feed, the Lakers failed the eardrum and eyeball test. They did. LeBron James, for a big part of this game, looked like an old, slow guy with a bad ankle. Anthony Davis, mostly useless for large stretches of the play-in game. And collectively, LeBron, AD, and Dennis Schroeder went AWOL for the first three quarters of the game. They sucked for 75% of the game, and that makes this a very emasculating loss for Golden State, that they were in position to take advantage, to be the beneficiary of this, and they were unable to do it. Of course, the Lakers got a lot of help. We'll get to that in a second, but just to point out how bad LeBron, Anthony Davis, and Dennis Schroeder were over the first 36 minutes of this game, they collectively shot 27%, 11 out of 40 for those players. And LeBron was 4 of 11. Anthony Davis was 5 of 18. Schroeder was 2 of 11. And then, presto, the fourth quarter starts, and on cue, those three players shot collectively 60%. For the bulk of the game, less than 30, and then in the fourth quarter, 9 out of 15. Now, Lakers got big assists from some unexpected contributors. Well, one was expected, one was not expected. That would be part B of this. Steve Kerr, who has to be the dumbest coach on the planet, right? He opened the door to the vault and said, "Take all of my gold. I don't want my gold. Here it is. I'm going to empty out the safety deposit box. Take whatever you want. Here's all the family jewels right there." And allowing the Lakers to squeeze back in. Now, what did Steve Kerr do? What sin did Steve Kerr do? Why should he be fitted with a dunce cap? Why do the Lakers need to present him with a game ball? Well, he treated this like a regular season game. He rested Steph Curry at the start of the fourth quarter, right? And that move right there, even though Curry wasn't on the bench for long, that changed the whole trajectory of the game. Steve Kerr. Make more moves like that. You'll be on TNT calling games like you used to be back in the day. The Warriors went from leading the entire game. Lakers didn't have a lead the first three quarters. Lakers did not ever taste the lead until the fourth quarter. And Curry went to the bench at the beginning. And from that point on, the Lakers ended up taking a 4-point lead by the time someone tapped Steve Kerr on the shoulder and said, hey, dummy, you might want to put Steve Kerr in there. But that gave a confidence boost, and the Warriors wilted under the immense pressure. You'd like to think Curry's not soft, right? Can't he finish a game? It's not a regular season game. I know it's not a playoff game, but it's somewhere in between. And if you're victorious, last I checked, if the Warriors had won that game, if they had dared play Steph Curry at the beginning of the fourth quarter all the way through, they would have had an extra day of rest. Now they have to play again in a game on Friday, right? So if they played Curry and won that game, they would have been the 7th seed. Now Steve Kerr and Steph Curry let down the American people. I don't want to be overly dramatic, but it would have been a great morale booster for basketball fans to see LeBron James take it on the chin. And instead, Golden State had this devil-may-care attitude, and they were flat-footed. They had 13 turnovers of the first 36 minutes, which is not all that bad. In the last 12 minutes, they had 7 turnovers. And the other game ball, which was expected, and you knew this coming in, that the Lakers would have the officials in the back pocket, and they always seem to have that in playoff games, and sure enough, they did here as well. Lakers had 14 foul shots in the second half to 8 for Golden State, despite L.A. shooting more three-pointers. You know, the argument's always, well, if you shoot the three-point shot, you're not going to get to the foul line. Well, the Lakers got to the foul line more, and they shot more three-point shots than Golden State. And biased officiating has been a long-standing issue in the NBA. The Lakers were +6 in the second half from the charity stripe, +8 overall in the game, a game decided by 3 points. And you can call a foul on just about every play, or you can let them play, and the officials selectively, conveniently seem to call the foul in situations to get the Lakers to the line. Lakers attempted 10 more foul shots. So you're talking about splitting hairs in these NBA playoff games, and the Lakers getting that push across the finish line. All right, last word on this. So looking ahead, peeking ahead, if you will, for both Golden State and L.A., the Warriors, who were wearing their Oakland jerseys, which was, I know they've been doing this all year, but it's so stupid. They moved out of Oakland, and they don't play in Oakland anymore. They moved across the bay, and they have these jerseys like, hey, we're still cool. We're still from – no, you're not. You're hanging out with the rich people now in San Francisco. Anyway, the Warriors have a date with the Grizzlies because they decided to rest Steph Curry and couldn't overcome the officiating. So that's a toss-up game. Like Memphis will grind it out. That's their whole franchise motto. And if Steve Kerr decides to rest Steph Curry again in the fourth quarter, then I believe the Warriors will have their battleship sunk. As for the ragtag Lakers, listen, it's nail-biting time. You can't not have seen that game and think there's problems. Right? You can put up some fake bravado and say, oh, no, they're the champions. You got your Mickey Mouse ring and you got your Donald Duck T-shirt on and your goofy ears and all that stuff. But that team they are there for the taking. Right? LeBron James needs to travel down to Florida and hang out with Ponce de Leon and get some of that stuff Tom Brady's on. Find the fountain of youth. Now, the matchup, though, does actually favor the Lakers. Chris Paul and the Suns, all things being equal, you'd think, well, they've got to be giddy if they watched the game and saw the way the Lakers played. The thing that concerns you about Phoenix is the Suns, in terms of playoff games, have mostly a greenhorn roster when it comes to the postseason. And like anyone that plays the Lakers, you're going to have to overcome a clear bias that the NBA looks out for the Lakers and they're officiating. It's really you're shorthanded. The Lakers are always on the power play, at least when they need to be on the power play in key moments of the game. Now, that being said, in terms of youth and good looks, advantage Phoenix. Chris Paul's got a lot of choke in him. I saw that in the Lob City days of the Clippers. You think he's a Hall of Fame guard, and he is a Hall of Fame guard, but hell, Muffet McGraw's in the Hall of Fame. But I don't trust Chris Paul in key moments. I never have, and I have no reason to think it'll be any different now. And Devin Booker, listen, he could come out and drop a cactus on LeBron's foot, and DeAndre Ayton he's an old steroid guy. He can run out, throw sand in the face of the unibrow. But the Lakers are ripe for the taking. Are the Suns the right team? Are the Suns the right team to knock them out in the first round? Boy, we all hope so. I think the vast majority of real NBA fans would love to see that happen. We'd be pulling for the team from the Valley of the Sun to stick it to public enemy number one, LeBron James, and kick his ass out of the playoffs.